Yeah, I just want to say that this is like introduction video. This week, I attended 2 performances at the Esplanade and one exhibition at the Singapore Art Museum. So I'll be talking about this, about my experience in this video, so stay tuned.
Hi everyone. First up, music, dance and visual art performance at the Esplanade Music Concourse by artists that call themselves Bellepoque in a performance entitled Lotus Fugue. I don't know much about music or dance to make any meaningful commentary, so I'm not going to do it, but I can describe how it felt to be there. To me, the overall performance is like, if you want to think of it like a crepe cake, if each of the artist's role or performance is the cream in between each layers of pancake or crepe, then the crepe part is the humming of nature, the low frequency rumbling as everything comes to life and die, and live again in a cycle, drawing and feeding from or sustaining the other one. The piano and the violin portions were played in an improvised manner, so their 4 performances are necessarily different, drawing similarities, chaotic side of nature that grows anywhere or anytime when conditions are perfect. In the synopsis on their website, it says that the performance is directed towards the search for beauty, which I think they do in nature. We see this in the visual representations of sunsets, blooming flowers, glowing liquid light and repeated patterns, just like in nature, like in flower petals, snowflake or leaf. I would describe the journey as unsettling as you see within nature, the opposing yet harmonious conditions of imperfection and perfection reflected in the performance, particularly the piano and the violin part. Overall, there are irregular segments that are interspersed with pacifying or the more fast-paced and jolting segments, just as we find in nature. I like it. I suppose beauty is not in simply the things we take in with our senses, but their condition of imperfection as well. And if we see this, then it's likely that we are able to love our imperfect selves. Yeah, that's my takeaway. Okay, next to the annex studio of the Esplanade for a contemporary performing arts research residency public program presented by Rick Yamakawa and Yuko Takeda from Japan in a work entitled Sand Isles. Briefly, they take us on a journey by following the path of water in Singapore through rivers trickling downhill, rushing over concrete pavements, barging through foliage, shadowed by construction sites, collected in reservoirs and deltas, and leading to the sea as a coveted final destination of salt. There is so much to say about this, but I'm going to stick to what it means to me. It tells me about the obstacles that water will meet as it does when its nature dictates. More often than not, it will meet with obstacles, but with the right conditions, it will flow. What we see as a flowing body of water is as important as what we do not see. Surface water becoming groundwater, or evaporation and thus leaving the stream, or water joining the stream in varying quantities through transpiration from nearby plants, condensation or precipitation. With our knowledge, we know of the water cycle ongoing in tandem with the flow, but again, we do not see it. We can't change water or its course without changing the conditions, which we must do to redirect it according to our own goals. Otherwise, it will flow as nature intended. Can we say the same about us? Is there something common in all of us that we can say are qualities that make us inherently human? Do we all want to survive, find love, find meaning, shelter, companionship, and just flow until the conditions change that changes us, redirect us to a off-beaten path, or cross our fingers and hope we reach the oceans? Let's go to the next exhibition from the Singapore Art Museum called Lonely Vectors, including a performance entitled Loading and Unloading.
Oh yes, I am here. I'm now at Tanjong Pagar Distripark to attend an exhibition organized by the Singapore Art Museum. And there's also performance at 3 p.m. So I'm just in like half an hour early so I can go and look at the other ones before I attend the performance. It's only on Saturday, so I'm very happy that I can make it in time. Yeah. Very noisy opposite. Tanjong Pagar Distripark.
We start with artists lamenting the loss of culture, tradition, way of life, so sudden such that they are questioning their own state of mind. Were those things ever really there? The artist goes on a quest to find remnants of the past life to confirm existence of something that it was real. So what replaces an old life or culture is infrastructure deemed more important and urgent. You see, infrastructure also informs and shapes culture. Our conduct constitutes culture within a system that are sustained every day and in ordinary things through habits, thoughts, or feelings. In the middle of the room, we see structures that invite us to ring the bell. If it sits there long enough, it becomes a cultural artifact of sort if everyone who enters the room rings it. It doesn't matter if our motivations are different. That is the thing with culture. The meanings are not straightforward. Our thoughts turn to expression, which in turn becomes an interpretation of culture. In this case, what it means for people to be ringing this bell. An interpretation can be divided into categories like identity, regulations, representations, which are sometimes measured against prescription of roles, politics, social, cultural, and economic significance. Now we come to the next part, performance entitled Loading and Unloading, and how it ties to the one I just described. Infrastructure, of course. Performers are engaged in an activity that takes Tanjong Pagar port activities as inspiration, or unloading and unloading cargo or containers just outside the museum, which is, as some of you would know, is located in a warehouse with large bay windows overlooking shipping port activities. The performers are building a structure which they cross uneasily and slowly at first, but they get better at it with practice and time. At first only one can go, and then more and more of them using the structure, first as a passive bridge, and also later the very thing that actively transports. And the thing itself changes shape, it becomes flatter and easier to cross over time. Bottom line is, infrastructure creates relationships that would be uneasy without it. The goal of efficiency and productivity using material and the environment to establish paths or connections. Now, looking at the synopsis at the website, the point of the exhibition is, of course, distribution, amongst many things of goods, but also of migratory patterns and highlight uneven distribution. But in this specific one, because this exhibition is going to be taking place all over Singapore, but for this specific one, the first thing that comes to mind is the pandemic and how it affects demand and supply. And using the vernacular that I just picked up as it pertains to the shipping industry, this is a fault line. It's a surge in e-commerce and problems with labor as more people stay at home leads to disruption of the supply chain, creating bottlenecks. So we have ships and we have containers waiting to unload or load their cargo at ports or to be brought inland. Again, we see the importance of efficiency here, and not all the facilities around the world are functioning at optimum levels. Yep, that's it for today. I hope to see you guys in the next one, and I really hope you find my video informative and inspiring. Would love to hear your thoughts about what the performances and exhibition mean to you. Have a great day and love you all loads.